when Horry County Probate Court Judge Deirdre Edmonds wanted a new member for her Probate Court Advisory Committee, she turned to the area's #1 rickshaw racer to fill the slot. Meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in the lobby of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce at 1200 North Oak Street in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on guardianships and conservatorships and probate administration. And we're visiting with Myrtle Beach attorney Jay Bultz. Good morning, Jay.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for coming in
my
early
pleasure.
on a Tuesday morning. Particularly exciting because just last week we were at Villa Romana, the Italian Restaurant of the Year, and we were filming there. And last Tuesday we were with Fran Montrosi, and we were talking about you and your past experiences at Ponderosa.
Well, I hope it didn't tell too many stories about me.
She shared a couple and in all candor. She did.
That was part of my past history, is working as a busboy and worked my way up to dishwasher at the Ponderosa, which is now the Villa Romana.
For the last 23 and a half years, it's Villa Romana. So last week we were filming from Villa Romana, and of course Fran shared some great stories. And I told her we were going to be with Jay next week at the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. So it has actually come.
Yeah,
great to be with you.
A lot of history, yes. It's great to be here.
And this great lobby. Have you been in the
beautiful.
Chamber of Commerce before?
I step in from time to time to check on things, and it's a great location in the heart of Myrtle Beach, and you know, we need to have more of this type of development in the downtown. As you know, I'm vice chairman of the board for the Downtown Redevelopment Corporation. And
that's right.
And this is one of the many good starts that we've had to redeveloping the downtown, and we're still working on it.
Right.
But things are happening.
And you've got some great connections to the downtown. I believe much of your life here.
Yeah, I grew up here. Yes, this is where I grew up. This is where I went to school. In fact, next door used to be the old high school.
I was about to say you're a graduate of Myrtle Beach High School, and that used to be virtually right behind us.
Yeah, where this building sits was one of the fields that we used to practice in when I was on the track team, and also in the high school marching band.
Was Oak Street here then?
It was, yes, but Oak Street was the city limits back in those days. Right. When you crossed over Oak Street, everything else was dirt roads.
And it was
county.
All woods.
Yes, it was county, yes.
That's
Oak Street was the city limit in those days.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You've got vivid memories of that, Jay. I'm not going to date you by saying.
Dim memories, yes.
Had you always thought about being an attorney, Jay?
No. I've chased many careers, when I was growing up, and but this is where I ended up, and I'm glad I did. I love being an attorney. I love being back home in Myrtle Beach. As an attorney, I get to work with people. I get to help people solve problems. And the disciplines that I get involved in are so varied. In family court or divorce cases or custody, I'm dealing a lot with social issues and psychology issues, and working with abused and neglected children. Right. In contracts, I deal a lot with business law and real estate law, and in personal injury cases, people who get killed or injured. I deal a lot with medical issues and engineering issues. Right. And so you get to work with so many different disciplines as an attorney that I love it. It's fascinating. It gets to challenge every aspect of what I do for a living.
Absolutely. It's tremendous to think about, Jay, and I know you've really made a commitment to it. I think 4 or 5 years ago we were together with Carolina People down at Camp Happy Days just last summer. We were with you prior to your leaving the country, actually, to head out to the Indian Auto Rickshaw Challenge, which was very exciting, and now to be here with you in the lobby of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber.
Yeah, a year later, and I reflect back and wonder how I managed to survive that. But, that event was very successful in raising a lot of money for the charities over there, sponsoring the schools in these impoverished areas. And in fact, we raised enough money that we're working with the Rotary Club to get matching donations with the local Rotary Club, the International Rotary Club, and working with the Rotary Club over in Karwar, India, to provide more money for these schools. The school that we sponsored had dirt floors, had no desks or chairs, no lights, and they didn't even have notebooks to write in. And so we brought a truckload of supplies to that school in addition to money for the school, in addition to additional things that, additional monies that we're going to send over there as soon as we can. So we're still working on that.
That is tremendous, Jay. You know, and just reflecting back on that and the experience of being over there, as our director said earlier this morning before we started filming, can you imagine where you actually were a year ago today? I mean, the experience of being there, and of course, who you were with. You were with your brother.
Yes. And we were very engaged in surviving a race across India, trying to find, you know, first racing and meeting the daily challenges of the race and you know, the breakdowns and trying to find food and water and gasoline and mechanics and parts to fix the machine that would constantly break down, and getting lost and going through storms and, you know, falling off mountains and everything
Unbelievable.
else.
It was really that...
it was a real survival challenge, and I keep thinking that I want to go back one day and retrace my route so I could actually take a look at and appreciate what I went through.
Were flying through and couldn't slow down to see.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was an incredible experience, and hopefully I'll have more of those.
Absolutely. That you will. Well, of course, today our focus on guardianships and conservatorships, of course, probate administration, but more importantly, just break down guardianships and conservatorships. What are they, Jay? What does that mean to
a lot
our
of my
viewers?
practice over the years has been in probate court.
Okay.
And guardianships and conservatorships are statuses that people can get through the probate court to take care, in most cases, of elderly parents.
Okay.
People who are incapacitated for some reason. A guardianship is where you are appointed to take care of a person's body, to take care of their health care, to take care of their residential needs like a nursing home, or take care of, you know, what they eat, what they drink, what they wear, their medical care, the prescriptions they take care of. You manage every bit of that the same as if you were a parent to a child.
Right.
You take care of that person. Whereas a conservatorship, you take care of that person's finances and assets. You take care of their estate. And it's set under the same auspices under the probate court. If someone is incapacitated, then they need help in these areas. Now, you can be someone's guardian but not conservator, or you can be their conservator but not their guardian. Somebody else could be the guardian. In fact, there's a lot of instances in which, say, a daughter who has spent a lot of time taking care of her parents' personal needs and their health care needs could end up being the guardian to continue caring for those. And, and a son, not to be sexist, of course, but a son who is involved in business or has handled real estate matters or whatever, can handle their finances to take care of their property, to take care of their investments.
Right.
So that's the differences between the two, and both of these are set up through the probate court. Now, short of going to the probate court, most people are familiar with powers of attorney.
Yes, I was about to ask, how do these differ from healthcare powers of attorney or durable
Well,
power of attorney?
both are set up to manage a person or manage their assets, to take care of those things. A general durable healthcare power of attorney would be like a guardianship, except you don't have the formality of going to court. The person, the parent, for instance, simply signs a power of attorney and to appoint you as their son to take care of them.
Without going to court.
Without going to court.
Right.
And the same thing with a general durable power of attorney. That takes care of the financial aspects of things. And that's typically recorded over at the courthouse if it involves real estate in any way. So those are simply signed over to a son or daughter, or to a good friend, or to some person who is willing to take on that responsibility. Now, like we discussed, the big difference is you don't have to go to court, but that could also be a drawback. A drawback in that sometimes you have competing children or competing persons who go to someone and say, well, sign this power of attorney. And then someone else says, well, sign my power of attorney. Then somebody else comes along and says, well, sign my power, and they go back and forth, back and forth. Or you could have anybody come along and take advantage of an incapacitated person or elderly person and say, sign this power of attorney, I'll take care of you. And then they raid the assets, or they do something they're not supposed to do, or there's a fight between these persons. And so there is no court control or oversight over powers of attorney.
Right.
Now, in most cases, you know, parents trust their children and children take care of their parents. But sometimes you have unscrupulous people who will come along and get someone to sign a power of attorney if the children are not around or they live in some other state and they don't know what's going on. So that can be taken advantage of.
Right.
Now, with powers of attorney, you don't have any accounting. You don't have to account to anybody.
Right.
But it's very simple. There's no cost except for the cost of the document if you have an attorney prepare one for you.
Right.
And it's real easy to manage. But again, it can be abused. And that happens a lot. And I've been involved in a lot of litigation over those types of issues. Whereas a guardian and conservatorship is done through a court hearing.
Yeah, what's the procedure there for viewers who may be interested in that?
Yeah.
Just how that procedure.
A petition is filed by
Right.
the person who wants to be appointed, and that petition must be sent to anybody who might be interested in that person. All their children, all the heirs, anybody who might be interested in that person. Copies have to be sent out saying, look, I am applying to be this person's guardian or conservator. And so they have an opportunity to respond and say, I don't think this person is a good idea.
Right.
I think that, you know, someone else should be appointed or I should be appointed.
Right.
What have
They can also respond and say, great,
Yes,
good, absolutely.
They can all
the
sign
best suited.
consents.
Good.
They can sign consents. And then there must be statements, affidavits, reports from two physicians saying that this person is incapacitated. And for a guardianship, there must be someone designated as a visitor. Basically, that's just someone appointed by the court to go check on this person and ask them a series of questions. You know, do you feel that you need a guardian? Do you know this person who is applying? Are you okay with them being your guardian? And how are you? How are you doing? Are you taken care of? And that sort of thing. So there is a tremendous amount of court oversight into this process. And then there's a hearing and there's testimony, if need be, as to the appointment. And then after the appointment, every year the guardian must fill out a detailed report of how this person is doing.
Really, on the person side, yes.
Right, on the personal side, their health care, how they're doing physically, how their needs are being met. And then for the conservator, they have to file an annual accounting.
Right, on the
and they have
estate
to
side.
detail all the monies that have come in, you know, retirement, the Social Security, and all the expenses, these medical bills, this nursing home bill, you know, where all the money went to. And that's done on an annual basis. And so there's a public record of that, so that if anybody has any question about what you're doing as a guardian or conservator, they can look at that and then bring to the court's attention a problem.
Great, great.
So those are the differences. The guardianship and conservatorship is the ultimate authority control. It's the more expensive route, and it involves a lot more work, but it is completely controlled by the court system.
Right.
You know, there's very, very little room for abuse or mistakes. Whereas the power of attorney scenario is very simple, very inexpensive, very easy to do, but there is the potential for abuse.
What about on the, if someone was incapacitated or incompetent, is there either one of those that are better suited? I guess that's on the guardianship, or they both would come into play.
Well,
How would that-
you're mixing together two different terms.
Oh,
there.
okay, right. Thank you. You're an attorney.
Well, sometimes they are used interchangeably.
No, that's good. Yeah.
But for a person to be appointed or have a guardian or conservator appointed for them, they must be incapacitated. And technically, that's not necessarily the same thing as incompetent. Incapacitated could mean by reason of age or illness or drug problems or a lot of different things. You are not capable of taking care of yourself. You could be old, you could be feeble, you could be weak in a wheelchair or need assistance, even though your mind is still there.
Still very.
You're still very sharp, you're very cognizant of what's going on, but you're just too weak and too frail to manage things like signing a checkbook or reading bills or taking care of bills.